All right, Robert Wallace here again. I've got a few quick ideas that I want you to process throughout the day today about how things come to you by the law of attraction, by the power of prayer. Because when you start out doing this, you're not always going to feel confident that you've been heard because you won't see maybe immediate results. So this kind of opens you up a little bit and helps you see how things are in their way of coming, and then you can start to realize that pattern of how they've come to you, and that'll build your faith in that things are working together to bring you the things that you desire. So things come to you through a sowing and reaping process. This is one of the many ways that things come. So as you release out of your hands, something new can be put into your hands. When you give out, you're actually, according to scientists, stimulating the same part of the brain that believes that it's getting in. So when you say something to somebody, it's actually being said to the self. That's why, as within, so without, this works on this level too, not just on a macrocosmic level. And then also the judgment understanding, we judge others of what we're guilty of, or whatever you judge others of, you are guilty of. And so we know that as we give, so it is given to us. The same part of the brain is stimulated when we're giving something as when we're receiving something, so that there's almost a receiving happening in the giving process. And so this comes back to how the law of attraction works, how things come to you. Well, they come to you through the doorway of your own giving, your own sowing, what you're putting out there. Now, if you desire something and you're looking for it and you're ready for it and it shows up, okay, you're going to see that it's coming about because of this awareness, because of your preparedness. But what happens, since everything is really operating off of this law, is that a lot of times we're not waiting for it, we're not expecting it, we're not ready for it. And so an opportunity comes right past us to actually give us exactly what we had wanted, but since we put that request out until present time, we've actually withdrawn the hope of it happening, so that when it does happen, here we are, empty-handed, empty pockets. We're not ready for it because we weren't expecting it. And so that opportunity is missed. It's gone. So you're going to want to make sure that you maintain the hope that you will receive what you ask for until it manifests. Like when I do vision boards and we talk about vision boards, it's one of those things that, you know, how long do I have to look at it? How long do I use it for? I say until it manifests. Okay? Because, you know, you're going all or nothing. Now, if you get to a place where you decide you don't want that anymore, you know, then let it go. But if you're still holding on to the hope, don't let go of the hope. You know, put it to the side, even if you have to. If it's been a couple years and you're waiting and you've installed that seed into yourself, because then it will manifest. But whatever you do, don't lose the hope or the expectation of it. Don't, discard the validity of your prayer, your visualization, and these exercises that you're doing. Things sometimes come in groups, and I say sometimes because it's actually more like often. Let's say over the course of a year, you've wanted a specific book, you've wanted a specific sort of mentor, you've wanted a specific kind of job or opportunity, and you've wanted a certain circumstance to occur, maybe while you're getting your livelihood. Well, you could find that in some situations, you might get a book one day, you may get a job that matches the description another day, a while later you could get a mentor, but a lot of times all these come together. So if you have many requests out there, you'll find sometimes them being delivered in packets or chunks. That means, like, with the job comes the mentor and the circumstances and a book, and these are all kind of cherry picked out of your list of desires, and they're delivered to you at once. So it's kind of surprising. So you step back a day later and you look at all the things that transpired yesterday, and you realize that 4 things that you had been really wanting have all come to pass at the same time. And that is very satisfying, and it's miraculous because it just lets you know that you're being listened to, and that things that you've forgotten that you've asked for but that have lingered in your mind is open cases, not closed cases, not like, oh, that's not going to happen and filed away. Those things were not forgotten about, they were not overlooked by the powers that be, and were actually delivered to you according to the promise. Ask and you shall receive. So put out many wishes, put out many requests, and you'll see a lot of them will gravitate into chunks, and they'll be fulfilled to you in chunks. So the more the merrier in terms of that. And there are incubation periods and times, and these periods aren't really so much in to happen. They're not, you're causing you to wait in order to make you ready, but usually because you need to be made ready. Circumstances also allow and make take time for the manifestation. So if you take a wizard or a magical person that can make something manifest out of thin air, nobody had to bring it to him and set it there. Okay, this is a person who has that ability to instantly manifest. Now let's say there's a circumstance that you would like to fall into place, and we can't create in other people's realities, but people who share the same ideals or the same hopes, their manifestations may involve us, because part of our manifestation is would make us a background, the perfect background for their manifestation, and vice versa. So everybody, like let's say a bank robbery occurs, and everybody in that bank all manifested their role in that situation as hostage or victim, or as the robber or his assistant or the getaway car, or as the banker or the person who just left right before the bank was to get robbed. And so you think that they're unrelated, or this robber is creating in these other people's realities, but if they weren't on the same vibration, in terms of this event occurring and the roles that they would be playing, then it wouldn't really be allowed to happen. So in that negative sense, there's also the positive sense. So if you're wanting to create a new opportunity for people, or a new school or something like that, everybody participating comes in having their own roles fulfilled, and the facilitator has their vision fulfilled too. So these things are coming about through an incubation process. So let's say I put in a request, I want to start maybe a classroom experience or something, but I'm going to need people who are ready for it, people who want it, and a world who's ready for it. And let's say it takes 2 years for it to manifest, or any circumstance, situation, or anything that we want. So in the 2 years, a lot of things are taking place. People's lives are changing. All these people who will be participating in this situation 2 years down the road, not knowing that they're going to meet these people, and all their lives are going to collide. But every one of their lives are taking their spins. They're learning their lessons. They're coming into new cognitions that cause them to realize new things about themselves, and to think new thoughts and new thought patterns. And so when the day finally arrives for them to all be surprised and all have this manifestation together, a lot of things had to have taken place to make them ready. And this is on a group level. On an individual level, you simply want an awesome position or situation to occur, but you're not really capable of holding on to that. So you could have it dropped in your lap, and then the next day it would fall through your fingers because you didn't have the training or the know how to keep it. So this is exactly that. You weren't trying to manifest something coming into your hands and falling right through your fingers. You were asking for something that could come in and that you could maintain. In order for this ideal, which you're requesting, to actually happen, you have to be prepared. So that means you have to be trained. You have to be run through the ropes, through the trials, to make a person ready, appreciative, knowledgeable, to maintain a long-term situation. So let's say it does take 2 years to manifest something that you want. Throughout this first 6 months, you might notice these challenges, but you're getting closer to your goal. You might, develop a relationship with somebody who's in the industry. Maybe in the next 6 months, it may put you in a position and put you over a small portion of that niche or niche, both acceptable pronunciations. And so maybe it's another 6 months. After that, you grow a bit more, and you're like, why isn't my thing manifesting? I'm so close, but I feel like I'm never going to get to it. Well, all this time, you're being made ready, because when it finally does happen, now this could happen in a week's time in a smaller frame. You may already be ready for what you're asking for, so it can manifest immediately. But a lot of times when we're making quantum leaps out there and wanting things that we're currently not ready for, we need to be made ready. And then when it finally happens, and then we receive what we want, and we're able to maintain it, then we see how we were actually being led all this time since we made that request, just to ready ourselves so that we could hold this position. And we realize how kind of simple and foolish we were, thinking that we would just walk into the situation and start to maintain it or start to rule in a certain way without the sort of internal training. It takes a lot more training than we think we need. And so in order for us genuinely to be ready, we have to be run through our paces. But the quicker that you can adapt to the lessons being presented to you, will ready you and prepare you faster than somebody who needs to drag their feet for a while, learn the lessons the hard way, hit their head against the wall a few times, do things their own way incorrectly. But if they eventually, after that time, they become ready, then they can have their manifestation. But that may be a way for you to speed that up, is just by being flexible during that learning process. So these are some of the ways that things sort of make their appearance or present themselves into our lives out of the shadows of the world after we've made a request, and what's happening while we're waiting too. So keep your positive attitude up, and keep looking and waiting and expecting, and knowing that everything is working together for good for those who love God.
Christian consciousness, metaphysics, mind, body, spirit. Getting to the bottom of our meta history. The New Precept video blog.